So I guess I'll preface this. I've been touring last week. Some of you may know I was gone. I went to Mike McGovney's 2 churches. What an impressive pastor. I went to First Christian Church of Pratt, and then I went to Cunningham First Christian Church. And usually I kind of have a spiel, like I'm just Caleb Powell. None of them know who I am. A lot of grandmothers, friends, I should say. But none of them really know who I am, so I kind of have a spiel of, my name's Caleb, I'm from Pratt, Harvest Church Nazarene, I'm 18. You guys all know this. So, hi.
Well, for those of you who may not know Caleb, Caleb is our son, Stacey and I's son, our youngest of 3. If you didn't know, Josh and Hannah, who's home with sick one this morning, and then Caleb. And he's 18, just became 18 early January. Graduated 1 year early through Kansas Connections Academy. That's the school that Stacey teaches. She's a secondary math teacher for Kansas Connections Academy online school, public online school that she's been doing since we moved here in Pratt. So Caleb switched to that his sophomore year. Junior year. His junior year. And that allowed him to graduate a whole year early. He doubled up his classes that way. It's a little more flexible to do that. And so he ended up with a gap year. Well, we were really thinking, what does that mean? What's he going to do with that? Is he just going to work and raise some funds, college? What's he planning on doing? And so that thought kind of was leading us into the summer. And so we're going to kind of take you a little through that journey of where God has been leading him step by step through this. So I'm going to ask him kind of the first question. When did this concept of going on an extended missions trip begin to take shape?
Extended missions trip. I would just say first missions trip. So going into the call, which was in a conference for 17 and 18-year-olds, this event is held by MNU, Mid-American Nazarene University, and that's located up in Olathe, Kansas. And they had a 5-day conference just telling teenagers what it's like being in ministry, necessarily. And I was locally licensed on May 15th of 2021. And the call was like 2 weeks after that. It was June 7th through the 11th. And so I knew I wanted to be in ministry. Somehow I'm locally licensed, and I just felt pastoral ministry it sounds easy for me to do, right? Like my dad's pastor, I'm very, very involved in the district, and I just kind of know the ins and outs of what it looks like being a pastor for a small community specifically. And so I went to the call, and it was eye-opening. There's classes, there's evangelism class, there's an adoption class, there's obviously pastoral pulpit supplies, there's missionary classes, there's worship classes, because there's way too many aspects of ministry sometimes, and we just explored what it looks like what it looks like for each and separate one. So when I got to missions, I've always kind of had this concept about missions work. It's a great ministry. I'll sponsor you. You go do that, and I will do my own thing. It seriously was just like that's so awesome that you care so much about people you don't know. Like, I felt you are a special person if you are feeling called to missions. And I just felt this, when I was going through the class, I remember the instructor who was just telling us and his missions experiences, and he was just telling us, like, you have to be opening and accepting and being accepted by a new culture, and you have to love on people, and you have to share the gospel with them. And I just kind of thought, well, that sounds like a pastor's job, really. So I kind of reframed my mindset of a pastor. I kind of learned that being a pastor is just a local mission, and an extended local missionary. And that really framed my whole world, because I wanted to learn what it means to be a missionary then. I wanted to learn what it means to build a church at the fundamentals. I I don't want to talk in this policy world or this title games. I don't want to play any of that. I just want to have people come together and just to talk about Jesus and share the gospel with them. So
I'm going to interject here. This conversation is just kind of a young, new conversation that I know our denomination and many denominations are having as we look at the future church. How much the culture in America has changed, and that the ways we used to do church don't necessarily translate today or into tomorrow, and that we're going to have to learn how to do things differently. In our American mindset, what that meant for a long time was learn new systems and new events and all that kind of stuff. And what we're finding out is the missionaries have had it right from day one. They go into communities that a lot of them have never even heard of Jesus or Christianity, and they go in there, and it's a very frontline ministry. That's really where we are today, and it's certainly going to be much more so in the future. And so I wanted to kind of tell you something that is just the state of affairs for every denomination right now. We, just like many corners of economy, we're going to see a huge percentage of our pastors retire in the next 10 to 15 years. A huge number. We do not have enough young people coming into ministry to replace those pastors. We're not real sure what's going to happen with a lot of our smaller rural churches, say. We have a lot of question marks. How are we going to do this? The call upon the local church to really be diligent in identifying young people who have felt that call, to nurture that and to come along and support them. They are fewer and far between than you might know. And so it was so refreshing. Out of all my years, I have years of ministry, 20-some years, 25 years. I probably have, on one hand, can count how many are in ministry leadership. A lot of them are in church and in ministry that way, but as far as pastoral ministry or missions, on one hand. And so the district has had their eye on Caleb from day one as he began to express his call. Certainly, my heart's warmed about it. Stacy and I are very proud of Caleb and all that he has achieved. But I tell you, we didn't know where to go with him because what he intended to do is not something that we had a program for in our denomination. If you wanted to be a missionary, you went through a big process to get verified and supported and ordained through that, and then we sent you on assignments. And we have in the Nazarene Church, our missionaries are supported through the local church tithing. So we give a portion of our tithe income to missionaries across the world. Every church does. That way they don't have to raise their own funds. There are some of them who are volunteer missionaries that do have to raise their own funds as well. There are a lot more support staff that do that. What Caleb was intending to do, though, was to do kind of a in-between, not a work and witness trip. We do a lot of that where churches can get together, or districts, and our district does this, and go somewhere and do build a church building or a soccer field or something like that. He was interested in that originally, but it's so limited, you're in a bubble. And he really wanted to learn firsthand in the field by missionaries. Thinking to translate that, whether he's going to be a missionary or a minister, it's all the same in his mind. That's the refreshing thing. So that's where he's coming from. I'm going to read this passage. This passage I have thought of often in the last 7 months. It's in Isaiah 6:8. It says, "Then I heard the Lord asking, 'Whom shall I send as a messenger to this people? Who will go for us?' And I said, 'Here I am, send me. That has been what I've heard from Caleb all along this way. And so we're excited about that. Now with the gap year, you realize you had some time and opportunity to put this all together.
Right. So I graduated May 15th of 2021, something like that. And I just remember my mom saying, "You have a year of nothing. You're going to drive me crazy. You need to do something." So that really just kind of, oh boy, I guess I do. Like, I had a job. I was part of the ministry. I just got locally licensed. But I really felt that there is something that I need to be doing. Something I need to be proactive, and something I need to be genuinely excited for.
So we had Scott and Emily Armstrong. This was, May into June. He's starting this. When did you start your recycling business? That wasn't until like July.
Yeah, that was August.
August.
Yeah, late August.
But in July, this is how God providentially works in the background, getting things ready. I had been contacted by our district. I was planning our district assembly and a new event called Equip Day. And special speakers for assembly were Scott and Emily Armstrong. They were going to do a missions discovery event, and they chose to do it here at Pratt at the front porch. And that was in July. And so I had been talking with Emily Armstrong via Zoom for months, getting to know them and what their plans were for district assembly and this event. When they finally got here, we had an opportunity as a church. The event was Saturday, so Friday night we had them speak to our church about their missions. And Scott and Emily Armstrong are the mission coordinators for the Mesoamerican region. That's 33 countries, all through Central America, that whole middle swath before you get down too far into South America. And they are phenomenal. They are really good. So they come Friday night, they share. Afterwards, Caleb beelines up to them and starts having this conversation. Stacy and I are cleaning up. I'm totally unaware of this conversation he has with them, but what were we talking about?
And I was just telling them about Call. They had quite a few. They know quite a few people in Mid-America. A.G. Fry, Chelsea, and I was just telling about it. She's like, "Hey, I feel really called to missions, and it's so awesome that you're here. And I just want to talk to you and just want to explore what that looks like." And I was originally thinking like maybe 2 or 3 months. Just spend some time doing whatever they asked me to do. I said I'll do. And they said that they have an extraordinary opportunity for me to go down to. The original plan was Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Honduras, and to stay there for a long 6 months, about 2 months each. Because I told them that I wanted to learn true evangelism. I wanted to learn true serving the community, whether that involves building a church or a library. And I just really wanted to spend time with just a traveling missionary, and just to see how does he adapt to a culture. And I was telling him all these things, and he said that they have a great opportunity for me to go down for 6 months. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And my mom was not incredibly happy that I said okay without her.
Well, this jumped from a 10-day work and witness trip we were sending him on to a 6-month. That's a bit of a jump.
Yeah.
Did you say Stacy said he's going to be out for a whole year? You got to do something?
Yeah, I know. Yes.
No, I took that so literally. And then she was... I know.
You can't ever keep them happy, can you?
Amen.
So, Caleb is starting to develop. He has kind of 3 areas of ministry that were important to him. Those are your evangelism there.
Yeah, evangelism, cultural ministry, and church planning, really.
So he wanted to have an opportunity to experience and explore all 3 of those. Again, work and witness is such a defined area bubble that he wasn't going to be able to really see that happen. And so the Armstrongs kind of connected you with somebody.
Yes, they gave me the email and the phone number for Joyce Temple, and there is in Kansas City is the base for the NMI, Nazarene Missions International, and that's just really for our region. And it's just nice that's in Kansas City because it's really close and it'll be really close to Mid-America. And so they gave me all that information, and I just started going through the process. They gave me a lot of forms. I will say that to be a missionary in the Nazarene world, it is intended for about a 10-month to 16-month process. I crammed it all down to 3 months. Go me. So it was a little intense, and I understand. I truly understand why it is a prolonged process to be a missionary. They want to make sure that you are passionate and that you are willing to be a learner. There's part of me when I was younger, I was like, why does it take so long to minister to people? Like, I feel like if you're on fire right now, you need to go do it. But I was told that whenever you're on fire for Christ, that's not the time to move. That's the time to learn. That's the time to seek wisdom from God and to seek wisdom from other people. And so I did rush it, but I am going into this new chapter of my life as a learner and just trying to just tell me everything that you know, and I just want to be here for it, be here for it all.
So there's two things that have to happen to be a missionary. There has to be a commissioning of the missionary from a base support area. So in our case, he is supported, and this is the thing where he kind of he walked outside the regular lines, because it's not our church specifically that's sending him. It's not even our district specifically. He bypassed so much and just started calling people at the Global Ministry Center. And he's starting to tell me these conversations he had with people that are way above my pay grade, And I was like, how did you get their number? I just called them. Oh, all right. So he just started networking, and it started with Scott and Emily, went to Joyce Temple. He began to build this network. And every time he shared with them, what his heart was and what he's kind of looking to do, they were all instrumental in building a brand new kind of concept. And I don't know how much Caleb has heard on the other side of it, but what I'm hearing now is they're excited about this concept as kind of an apprenticeship, both for missionaries and ministers. So I think some of what we've all learned and they've all learned in those last few months is going to be translated into something new for our denomination. So that's exciting for me. I was talking to our district superintendent about that, and he said, I've been hearing things already, so pretty exciting. So he's got to be commissioned from a place, and he has to be received in a place. So there's a lot of networking that has to happen where we who are sending him, we know that he is prepared, he is gifted, he is called, because essentially we are licensing him, technically we are, and we're commissioning him. So we have to, he went through a lot of prep time. I'm going to have him talk about that in a second. And then they want to know on their end what they're receiving, and that this person is going to be there for the right reason, not have any other agenda, but they're there to serve Christ and to serve others and do that. So we do believe in the preparation for all those reasons. We don't want people to go in with wrong intentions or wrong ideas and get just eaten alive, We want them to be productive and effective. So there were some prep things. Talk a little about that.
So there was a lot of personality tests, spiritual personality and gift tests that had to be completed. And there was something that actually kind of surprised me. There was like a little bit of a maturity test. And I was a little like, what sense of maturity? As an 18-year-old or as, I don't know.
Now recognize he's around me and Mike McGivney a lot. So
that is sway me. But those are really interesting for them to just talk to me and just specifically about the maturity, and just says that you're probably gonna struggle with some of these aspects, and you're gonna struggle with culture shock probably significantly. I've been pretty much raised and grown up in prep. And my entire life has just been this church and this family. So this culture shock will probably be a big thing. You can't avoid it no matter how mentally prepared you are for it. But there was a lot of interviews with U.S. global missions coordinators, and there's quite a few people who I was like, oh, you're kind of a top dog. That's kind of cool.
Well, at that time, you recognize he was only 17 during this, and so they're like, we're having this is not a student program. This is adult program that he's working through, and they have to keep reminding themselves he's 17. When's your birthday? When's your birthday? When's your birthday? So I'll be 18 when this happens. Okay.
Yes, there. So I took a class, and a lot of the other students in there were actually like 50-year-olds who were kind of on the verge of retiring, and they're just like, I'm well off. I'm ready to go on a mission trip, and I was just the only little kid in there, which was just a little intimidating. It really was. It was a little intimidating
For them too.
Yeah, I was like, how am I going to be perceived? But during this time, I was also taking pastoral ministry classes through School of Harvestry, and that's just our denomination's way of teaching pastors, because you have to take 3 credit hours a year, 2 credit hours a year.
It's a suggestion.
Oh, okay, I see.
So he is locally licensed. Let me explain this real quick for those of you who don't know the process. He's locally licensed by our church. Our board did that in May of last year. After 1 year, he is eligible to be district licensed by our whole district. In that licensing, he could actually take a position as a pastor underneath the authority of the district superintendent. You have to have 3 years of service and have completed all your schooling. Then you go through the credentials board and ordination board, and if that's all approved, you get ordained. So that's kind of the process in the Nazarene Church for becoming a pastor. He's on the front end of that, and so part of that is taking classes. And so you can take classes at college, of course, university. Mid-American Nazarene is where he's headed anyways in the fall. But we also have a school of ministry within our district. Almost every district has their own school of ministry, and they are taught by pastors, and they get college credit for that. So it all works together. Now, beyond the call and beyond those classes, there is a major event that happens to train and kind of vet those feeling called to missions, and it's called Explore. Usually it's done regionally. So MNU has one at Mid-American Nazarene University in Olathe or Southern Nazarene. There's different places Explore can happen. But because of the pandemic, it was done on Zoom. And so Caleb had to go through Explore. And that was, how many, 2 weeks?
Yeah, it was just 2 weeks. Every day there's just assignments and people I got to talk to. And this is when I had students with me, peers, and they're all just really interesting to talk to. I really appreciated how they organized it. Everyone just kind of talked to each other. There's breakout sessions. You had after this is whenever the interviews really started kicking up, just with the global missions coordinators. But so.
And you talked a lot about intentions versus wisdom. Tell me a little about that.
So. I guess I'm aware of this idea that having good intentions is not good enough. They told a monkey and a fish story. This is really simplified, by the way, but pretty much it's just where a monkey sees a fish in a stream, and the monkey genuinely believes that the fish is drowning. And so what does the monkey do? He goes to pick up the fish, takes it out of the stream, and puts it on the bank. And the monkey thinks that he was a hero, and he walks away truly believing that he did the right thing. When in reality, the fish dies due to the monkey's negligence of how nature works. And that story really, really spoke to me, just about how so many people that they've experienced just come into missions, and they just say, well, I just got to do this, I 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 got to show them the U.S. way of thinking, I got to show them, I got to change that everyone's going to be super independent, I got to make them independent. So, and then they just really harm the culture, and they really harm everyone's spiritual lives, because it is nothing like how we portray Jesus in our lives. And that's not necessarily wrong. But just like I said, they just have very different ideas of how they're supposed to be involved in the community. So just that sense really spoke to me about about learning the wisdom and just to try and have God under me and above me and all around me, just so I could learn His wisdom and other people's wisdoms as well. So,
you've talked a little about culture shock. I just wanted to. One of the things they talked about, he's really good about asking questions as he thinks about them. He sends a question off, and so he's thinking about what to pack as far as clothing. And so you asked him about that. What was surprising?
Everyone there wears jeans. Like, no one wears shorts, hardly ever. And I was like, it's going to be like super humid and like 110 degrees. You're going to be wet. Why would you ever do that? And they just said that's not appropriate. So now I have to take up half of my suitcase just wearing jeans. But I mean, like, even just small things like that. They said that like going to a grocery store, for us it takes like 10 to 30 minutes. For them it takes 4 hours just to pick up medicine or just pick up like a head of cabbage. They just say that everyone just talks so much that they're just going to be like, oh, I don't have that. You can go to this store maybe. They'll probably have it. His name is this person. They're struggling with a crisis right now. You got to go through all that. And then they'll start doing the same thing. So they just said that you have to plan an entire day just buy things.
So, whereas in America, especially as you get to the coastal and northern area, we're time-oriented and productivity-oriented, right? Get the job done. And they're so much more relational-oriented that to them, shopping is as much about talking to people as about getting what I needed. So block out a period of time. I think Midwest is a little of both. I think they said it's not quite as shocking for Midwest people maybe as it is New Yorkers, So, but still, it'll be some culture shock. We were talking about just some of the issues of being young, so young doing this. A lot of first times for you. What are those?
A lot of first times. First time flying. I've never been in a plane. I'm doing this
internationally
by myself, internationally, and a little stressed about that. I've never lived on my own. I've never really had to make a budget. I've never really had to just schooling by myself. This is truly an adult experience that I'm diving into, which I think I'm somewhat ready. I'm somewhat ready, but I just know that I'm going to be calling mom a lot. So
who's going to cook?
Exactly, who's going to cook for me? All right. So there's a lot of people who I know who knows people in Costa Rica. So they just said, "Hey, just bring up my name, and they'll take you to their house and cook you." So I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that." I do not want to cook as much as I can because I don't want to embarrass anyone with how bad I am.
All right. So let's talk about the trip. What's the agenda for the trip? The first place you're going is?
First place I'm going is Costa Rica, San Jose. I'll be leaving March 1st, coming up pretty soon. The reason why I'm going to Costa Rica is because there's a seminary there, and on this seminary called Sendas, there is a language institution, which is called the Call. And they just teach, it's usually for little kids to learn English, but I'll be doing the opposite. I'll be learning Spanish. I have no background of Spanish. I have like a 20-day Duolingo streak, if anyone cares about that. But I will be taking classes 3 hours a day, 5 days a week for 8 weeks. And it's going to be really intense.
This is a common process, by the way. They have a lot of people hitting the missionary field to go through this. So there's a lot of people coming from all over the world into this Sendas, this mission or this seminary, and doing classes like this. Mm-hmm. And they're highly confident that they can get him where he needs to be.
Manageable. Yes.
Manageable.
But while I'm doing classes, I'm officially signed to be taking classes. Unofficially, anyways, there is a lot of missionaries who travel in and out of Costa Rica, and specifically that Nazarene seminary. And they just said I could tag along with them for a day or a weekend, and I could just go to nearby villages. I could just learn about what they have learned so far. And then I will be taking a little bit of 2 tourist days. that would just be with the entire seminary. So there's a lot of exciting things for Costa Rica.
So when do you fly out?
When I fly out, May 3rd.
To go to Costa Rica?
Oh, to go to Costa Rica. Yes, March 1st.
March 1st.
Mm-hmm.
That's his.
May 3rd is when I'm leaving. May 3rd is when I'm leaving.
So from March 1st to May 3rd, he's in Costa Rica, doing those classes and doing serving trips from there. And then you go to?
Then I'll go to Dominican Republic. Yes, I'll be stationed in Dominican Republic because I'm going to be working with the work and witness teams. They said that because I couldn't go to Honduras or Haiti, a little bit of known problems. So they said that working with the work and witness teams, where I'll be touring the city. There are going to be prayer walks. There's going to be a lot of construction. So he said that this is the next best thing for you to truly experience with these groups. So I'll be stationed in Dominican Republic for May 3rd through July 29th. And I'll just be serving as an assistant to the work and witness coordinators. So if there wants to be a work and witness team that goes down to Dominican Republic during that time, let me know. I'd love to see them.
So Sam and Christy Seneca, they are the...
Yes, they are the coordinators. It used to be AJ and Chelsea Fry,
right,
but they moved to New York. So this is their second year doing this, and unfortunately came in during COVID year. But they have a lot of exciting things that they've told me, but they're just kind of revamping a little bit.
So he'll work directly with them, and they really, the trio of them, work with all the work and witness groups coming from across the world to Dominican Republic. Scott and Emily Armstrong live a few houses down the street from them, and so they're all working together, by the way. He'll be in that pool of people the whole time he's in Dominican Republic. Most of the people who go down to there are from America or from Canada, but they do have others that come from all over. So Caleb's kind of the liaison. I told him, I said, you're the kind of the concierge for all those work and witness trips. He had no idea what I was talking about.
I'm learning Spanish, actually.
That's not a Spanish word.
I'm getting there. Okay.
So, making sure that they know where to go and where things are, and making sure they have all the supplies and all that kind of stuff, answering a lot of questions, connecting them to the mission aspect of it all. So it's going to be some good stuff down there. 90 days. And there was 2 time limits that we were working with. One is a visa. He can only be in Dominican Republic for 90 days. Plus, he has college that we were hoping to get him back home for. Because they're like, stay down here as long as you can. So we kind of had a fight. No, he's got to come home July 28th. So 29th. I think we chose the 29th. Airplane was cheaper that day. So Mom loves him, but not that much. No, just kidding. Just kidding. We talked about those things. We're kind of closing this off here. Where are you going to be living at this time in Costa Rica? You'll be living...
I'll be living on the campus in Costa Rica. They just kind of have like their own little duplexes that they own. And in DR, I'll be living in a work and witness house, which is where the teams will be stationed at while they're living. And so I'll just be living with the teams. I'm going to have another guy with me who's kind of like just another assistant. His name's Reese. I get to meet him tomorrow. I'm very excited for him.
Yeah. So, and he gets this question a lot. So you're going on this big mission trip. Are you looking to become a missionary? Is that the future plan?
So here's the thing. I'm pretty confident I'm going in ministry. Like, I'm pretty confident. So whenever I see this as a missions exploration, I don't know what to think about that, because I don't know if I'm necessarily exploring missions. I truly think that this is going to be a part of my life. If I'm in ministry, I really want to go back, and I really just want to be connected with these people. And in regards to being a Orthodox missionary, maybe not. I don't really know. I'm just going where God follows me, and this was just a perfect time, and all the doors opened at just the right time for me, and it was right before college, and I was just told that, man, this is the perfect time to go on a mission trip. And I just feel really on fire for it right now. So I could just kind of see this as a no-lose experience, right? Either I'm going into missions and this experience will open doors for that, or I'm going into pastoral ministry and all these experiences will help me not necessarily just be a better pastor, but just to be a better Christian, in fact. So I am very confident in this route I'm taking right now, that it's going to help me no matter where I'm at in my spiritual life.
So how can we come alongside Caleb for this trip? There's kind of three areas. One is just support. And when I say support, I mean relational support. His family, his church family. This has been, you said, this has been your home church pretty much all his life. And, we've been blessed of how this church has loved our kids and supported them. You've been impacted by so many of these people and taught and mentored and loved and supported. So, that's the big thing is continue that love and that support for him as he's over there, to know he's got his home church here, thinking of him, that he's not forgotten, The other is prayer. Talk a little about what you'd like to have everybody praying for.
Prayer for really the travel is stressing you out a little bit. I just know there's a lot of people you got to talk to to go on a plane. And it does not make it easier with my dad telling me horror stories of his plane experiences.
Hopefully it's not genetic.
Hereditary. But, just like a little bit of the logistics, there's still things that we're trying to really iron out with insurance and the phone. There's still things that's happening that haven't truly been decided yet, and probably won't be truly decided until I'm there. So just throughout all of that will just be a little bit new to me. Another thing would just be my health. I am a little worried about COVID. It's not gone, as many of you are aware. I really don't want this trip to be tarnished by COVID, and
And they did tell you you're going to be sick.
Yes, they did tell me pretty much I'm going to be sick whenever I get here. Just like, you may go on a missions trip, or you may go on a vacation to Costa Rica, but if I'm going to go to live there in Costa Rica, they say that just like the mental difference is enough just to make you, you're out of it for 3 days or so. And so just maybe they said even coming back here. I'm probably just going to get sick coming back here. And so, there's just a lot of things that I've never really heard of, a lot of things that I don't expect that I am expecting. And other than that, the only other thing I could pray for is ministry opportunities and financial aid. Those are all.
So the financial aid part of this, he needed $9,500 to make this happen. And that was everything. I mean, that's the airline. That's a seminary, that's an actual seminary, so there was cost there with the lodging, food, and there were 3 separate air trips. I mean, he's got to get from Wichita to Costa Rica, from Costa Rica to Dominican Republic, from Dominican Republic back here. And so in some of the incidentals, like phone things. So $9,500 was the budget that they all worked out for him. And so he had some money. He had been doing his recycling business that he had put together just for the purpose of raising funds for this. And so we used that fund to buy his tickets. We got his tickets bought. That's a crazy feeling, by the way. It got really real in that moment. And then we started doing the fundraising. We had very little time. But we have very little time. Most people would spend a year raising $9,500.
It's been 2 weeks of doing this.
Right. So we've been on this path for 2 hard weeks because we were kept waiting for them to kind of get their budget together and all that kind of stuff. So we've started raising funds. We are now, you sent me this. Is that including yesterday? Okay. So this is not with airline tickets. That was already pulled out. So he has $5,891.97 already. And so he's real close to 6,000. That gives him 3,500. 3,500. I look at my math teacher. That we've got yet to raise. I know the church will give something as well. And so we're just actively raising money. Everything is appreciated. It all adds together for that. And just know when you do that, you're doing two things. You're giving somebody an opportunity to go where you don't have an opportunity to go. To serve people you're not probably going to ever see in your life, but who need to hear about Jesus and need to see the joy that Christ can bring in somebody's heart and forgive what forgiveness looks like. He is going to be your avatar. That's a young expression, but he's our ambassador that we're sending. So we want to think about that, but also know that you're investing in a new minister for the kingdom as he begins this education in his life. So if you would like to give, if you haven't already given, there is a link on our website. If you Google Abundant Harvest Church of the Nazarene, you'll see our website. At the top, you'll see Caleb's mission trip. So what's exciting this week, Global Missions actually assigned him his own account that he will draw directly from. And now all the money that's coming to the church will be funneled into that account. And then that counts for our 10% giving for district assembly kind of stuff. But that's how all that works. Does that make sense? So if you want to give through there, you can do that, or you can send a check to the church and put Caleb Mission Trip on there. But I asked him earlier, is there a verse that has been especially meaningful for him during this journey? And I wanted him to talk a little about that, and we'll worship and go to lunch.
So there's a passage in 1 Timothy 4:11 through 12. I really like 1 Timothy 4. It just talks about what it looks like being a pastor, being a servant. But 1 Timothy 4:11 and 12 just says, "Teach these things and insist that everyone learn from them. Don't let anyone think less of you because you are young. Be an example to all believers in what you say, in the way you live, in your love, your faith, and your purity." And this has just been my heart cry just from when I was 16, and just really thinking about missions and just thinking about ministry and how I am wired and how I have all these doors in my life that are open. And this is a little bit. I've come to realize this is a little bit of a goodbye to the church. This has been my home church for 12 years, and I remember being that little kid who just plays on all the stuff while they're working on it, whether it just be Summer Explosion or Water World or just all these different events that we've done. There's just so many people in this church who has touched my life, and so this is just a little bit more impactful than all the other churches, just because I know you guys. I will be leaving in 3 weeks.
Now, we're not going to do the prayer time over him yet. We're going to do it on that Sunday before he leaves. And so we'll have a chance for everybody to come up around and lay hands on him and pray over him. I just wanted to have him give you some information so you knew a little better. But we all thank you so much for just your love and your support and your friendship over these years. Proud of you.
See you later. I'll never say goodbye.
That's right. Peace. Peace.
We'll just stand up with us. Caleb's been talking about this, just how much, again, God providentially putting things in place all along the way, from what seems in the beginning like just chance encounters, I don't know how I met this person, and we just had a conversation, and it begins this journey. And I just think so much of how God does that. He makes the way, doesn't he? So I thought we'd sing that song.
Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop working. Never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop working. Never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Never stop working. Never stop working. That is who you are. That is who you are. Sing that. That is who you are. 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 You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. One last time. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the